Yu-Gi-Oh is dumb expensive right now. There are some cards that cost an egregious amount of money. Take for example cards like Forbidden Droplets, which is played in a good amount of competitive decks. This card costs upwards to $90 each. That's backbreaking. And then there are cards like Triple Tactics Talent, a card that is played a lot in a competitive meta that also costs $90 each. If you're going to get a playset of both of these cards, you're going to have to spend $540, and that's way before you even commit to other cards that are important for the deck. This is a legitimate Full Metal Alchemist arm and leg here. I think instead of putting my house through a second mortgage, finding another job just to fuel my Yu-Gi-Oh habit, or even giving up my food supply for the month, why not just play some of the budget decks that can compete in the meta? These particular decks are going to be around that $100 price range, meaning that you only have to give up 100 of your hot pockets to play Yu-Gi-Oh! Let's face it, that is a tough decision. Lady, get out. Your sorcery is gonna get you hanged. Burned at the stake. Burned at the stake. Stake hot pockets. The cool thing is that I did ask my Too Strong community what were some really good decks that they had success with. So if you guys see some of the comments on this video, it's just great minds thinking alike. But I'm not here to discriminate. If you want to be a part of that Too Strong clan, all you have to do is destroy that subscribe button and hit that notification bell. Make sure you can check out the community tab as we have some really cool projects that are upcoming, like the YCS Fall Cup. It's kind of crazy that I say that this deck and budget are in the same sentence, because about 3 years ago, this strategy and budget would have never been in the same stratosphere. But the Zoodiac strategy is rather budget and is also very competitive in this format. Basically, how the Zoodiac strategy works is that every single one of your Zoodiac monsters in the main board can be potentially any rank 4 Zoodiac monster in your extra deck. Your Zoodiac Exceed monsters will gain the attack of the Zoodiac monsters used before it, and those Zoodiac monsters that are in your main deck tend to give your Exceed monsters beneficial effects. Now, even though the Zoodiac strategy was introduced way before Link monsters came out, this strategy is really good as it can summon multiple monsters to the side of the field, which gives you free Link monsters in a pinch. Its most powerful card available to you is Zoodiac Trident. It allows you to destroy cards, face-up cards on the side of the field during either player's turn. And since the deck is so good at summoning Exceed monsters to your side of the field, even if Trident is sent to the graveyard, summoning Infinite Track Megaloclops not only is very easy for this strategy to do, but can also reset that Trident back to your side of the field, almost bypassing the fact that it's limited to 1. Now, the exciting thing about this strategy is that I can't even find a card that's like outwardly expensive for this strategy that you can't get it for on the low. Infinite Track Megaloclops used to be that card at a staggering $15, but because of the 2020 Mega 10 reprint, you can get a secret rare copy of this card for $2. A strategy that you could play and is relatively cheap is the Chaos strategy. Now, the Chaos strategy evolved from some Thunder Dragon Light Sworn Invoked mess into basically a full-fledged Chaos deck. It is a combo deck focused on the ability to be able to break your opponent's board while also being able to make some huge boards like Blue Harbinger Apollosa, as well as an Arc Lord Christia to your side of the field, just so your opponent can't special summon. And the cool thing about this is while it's on the way to making these type of boards, your opponent is literally scratching their head trying to figure out the perfect time to hand trap. The obvious answer is that there isn't. With enough extenders, you make the board that you want. Now, if this is something that interests you, I actually do have a deck profile on the Ultimate Chaos deck. You can go ahead and check out that video right there, but the most expensive card for the Chaos strategy is the Chaos Creator. In my particular build, I play 3 copies of Chaos Creator at about $45, but looking at through the rest of the deck, it's fairly cheap if you go on a budget. I think that the Chaos strategy is perfect for you if you want to play a combo deck, but maybe don't want to play Rockets at that point in time and still want to show an insane combo that says, hey, your opponent can't play Yu-Gi-Oh! Now, I was really surprised at this particular strategy, mainly because while it is powerful, I just didn't expect it to be this good in 2020. Gokis are nutty good right now. Like that first bite where you get a mouthful of that cheese in the hot pocket. Like seriously, it doesn't even taste like cheese. It tastes something heavenly. The Goki strategy is based off of anytime those monsters are sent to the graveyard, you can add Goki cards from your deck to your hand. Since it is a warrior-based strategy, it works really well with Esol, being able to combo off into an Apollosa Bull of the Goddess before you make your 5th summon, meaning that your opponent can't Nibiru you. The deck can take it a step further, as it does run the Phantom Knight engine, so your opponent will be staring down a Rusty Varnish with 2 negates, as well as a rank 4 monster of your choice, which could potentially just be an Abyss Dweller inside of a meta where there are so many graveyard heavy strategies. The most expensive card for the Goki strategy is Phantom Knight's Fogblade, which sits at about $6 each if you decide to get a common. So yeah, the Goki strategy is not expensive. You could argue that you can get this deck built for under $100, possibly more towards that $75 range. I've genuinely been lagging. I couldn't include this in any of my other top 5 budget videos, but it's still a really fun budget deck. If you're into stunning the opponent, locking them out of resources, or just one-shotting them, then the Grin Maju strategy just might be your cup of tea. The Grin Maju strategy is a lockdown type deck. You can run cards like Inspector Warder, which this card's just unfair. It literally says your opponent can't activate monster effects unless they have monsters that tend to be summoned by activating monster effects. Inspector Border literally is a selling point on his own. Just summon this card against some of the top meta decks and watch your opponent struggle to beat it. Odds are they just don't. But when Grin Maju is backed into the corner, it summons its most powerful monster. Grin Maju is probably the strongest monster known to man. This monster typically ranges on the low 4,000 attack when you activate just 1 copy of Pot of Desires, all the way up to 11 bajillion attack when you banish cards and play Yu-Gi-Oh! Making a 10,000 attack Grin Maju is really easy, and to be even more cheeky, you can set it into defense and let your opponent attack into it because you're that guy. One of the most expensive cards for the Grin Maju strategy was Gizmek Orochi, but seeing that that card was reprinted in the 2020 Megatins, you can actually even play more cards that were more expensive. Pot of Extravagance was a card that was upwards of $100 at one point in time, but it sits at a low cost of $22 for 3 copies, and the rest of your deck can pretty much fit in that 34 Hot Pocket budget. Because the Hot Pockets are the money that you use to spend on Yu-Gi-Oh! Cards. Yeah. This video is not sponsored by Hot Pockets. I'm just really hungry. And the last strategy I want to share with you, don't get me wrong, there are plenty of other strategies that are budget and competitive. I want you to post down below in the comment section what are those strategies, as well as share this video with a friend. You possibly can get someone into the game just knowing that with $100 they can play some competitive Yu-Gi-Oh! The Shaddoll strategy is legitimately one of those strategies that can be as expensive as you want it or as cheap as you want it. Take, for example, El Shaddoll Construct. You can find this card for as little as 20 cents, or you can YOLO swag on this card and get them for about $80 each. Like, if there was ever a disparity between a card price, that's a lot of Hot Pockets I can fit in between that. The Shaddoll deck built in 2014 still applies to this day. It's built on being able to punish your opponent from special summoning monsters from the extra deck, or just prevents the opponent from special summoning monsters in general. Take, for example, El Shaddoll Winda. It only allows players to special summon once per turn. If you already have your combo going, then of course you don't need to special summon multiple times. This card got it down. There's also the powerful Shaddoll Grista, a card that never really gets the recognition that it deserves. It literally negates special summons. I don't even know what to tell you when it comes to power in Shaddoll and untapped potential. On top of that, all of your Shaddoll monsters can gain effects when sent to the graveyard by card effects, so anytime you decide to fusion summon, you can gain effects like sending from the deck to the graveyard, drawing cards, searching cards, and even special summoning. The most expensive Shaddoll card is Shaddoll Schism for about $4, meaning that if you were building a pure Shaddoll deck, you're not gonna have to spend much to get this deck done. I've actually even made a video of building Shaddolls at under $100 when the structure deck came out, and I didn't even use the structure deck. You can go ahead and check out that video and then apply new Yu-Gi-Oh! And voila, you got a deck under $100 that is still very competitive. But if you wanted to take your Shaddoll strategy to the next level, Shaddoll Invoked might be your best bet, with Invocation sitting at about $20 each. This card getting a reprint is probably the best thing to happen for Shaddoll because the deck still fits comfortably around that $100 range whilst having a full range access to the Invoked cards and your Shaddoll cards. Well, that's all that I have for these strategies that you can be playing on a budget. Of course, we want to be able to help the players that are looking for a new strategy or those players getting in, so post down below in the comment section what are some other strategies that are really good on a budget. Also, make sure you're clicking on any of these videos. I promise you'll have a good time because I'll catch you on the next one.